pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would, please keep standing while Chad Perry comes up. Helps keep us on the straight and narrow to do good things for our children.
Amen. Let's pray together. Father God, we love you. We thank you for loving us and pursuing us with your love. We thank you for the privilege to provide watch care for the students of Putnam County. We ask for your wisdom, Lord, as we look at all kinds of things today that might need a decision here or there. Give us the wisdom that we need to do the best for our students, our faculty, for the county, Lord, the best that we can with your assistance. And we give you the glory and the honor and the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Chad. If you are interested in making a public comment today in the meeting, you will need to see Miss Douglas over here. She would have cards for you to come up and address the board. So make sure if you see Pam Garris anywhere, she gets up here and gets one. Oh, I didn't know you were here. I'm sorry. I know who you are. I was messing with Pam. It's so unusual to see her show up.
Pam Palisade here.
Knights of Columbus presentation. I'd like to call Mr. Bill Black up. Always a pleasure to have you, Bill. If you could come over here to the microphone. Of course, I'm so used to you telling me what to do over the years.
Yeah, but he never did it, did he?
No, I can tell you, but that doesn't mean we do it, right? Okay, I won't tell all the secrets, David. I'm here this afternoon to make a presentation for an essay contest that the Knights of Columbus hold annually, and it's the Knights of Columbus. It's the Father Jack Kire Assembly, and the principal focus of this fourth degree assembly is for patriotism, and that's what our essays will be about and have been about over the years, and we kind of pick a different topic or a way of presenting that. This year's essay focus was freedom in America, what does it mean to me? Okay, and then when the essays came in, they were read by a panel of members of the Knights of Columbus, and then the winners were chosen. And there were 3 winners that were chosen: a elementary winner, a middle school winner, and a high school winner. Okay, and each of these winners will receive a $100 check. Now, Mr. W.L. Jones over there in the white shirt with the envelopes is the guy with the money, and he will hand the checks to our winners. Okay, and at this time I'd like to call up our elementary winner, Dahlia Hall from Mosley Elementary. Dahlia, if you'll come up here. And Dahlia, if you'll just come over here and stand, please.
WL, you be careful now, because I don't want Janice getting on to me.
I know, that's what I was gonna say.
Doesn't bother me.
Well, he should.
Never. Not for me.
All right. Okay, thank you. Get Mr. Jones over here.
Come with WL.
All right, and get one more? Okay.
It's hard to believe WL gets better looking.
All right. And the middle school winner is Melody Whitley. There's Melody. There's Melody. There you are. You'll just stand there.
You'll come over here.
Oh,
And I'll
okay.
get a group of them together after the race. So,
Okay. Go ahead. Let. All
there
right.
we go.
And
Remember them.
between us,
Gorgeous.
we are.
Pretty there.
She's done that before.
Okay, if you'll stand over next to her. Okay, and the high school winner is Nia Gibbons. I know Nia's here, she's in the back. Nia is from Palatka High School, and Melody is from C.H. Price Middle School.
Do you want them to?
Let's hear what they say.
It'd be fine if they
I don't know if they plan to do that.
Mr. Black, do you think it'd be okay if if the young people could read their essays? If they had them?
They don't have them?
If they don't have them, then maybe they could get with Mr. Collier and read them, and we'll put them on the school website.
Yeah.
I'd just like to take this opportunity, too, to thank the district school system of Putnam County and the school board for permitting us to do this essay contest each year. Thank you very much. It's a real important thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Mr.
And
Jones
along,
and the Knights of Columbus, thank you so much as well. But Ms. Criswell, go ahead.
that was excellent. And to follow up with that, we also have with us today Kendall Asbury. And if Kendall would come up, you have it with you. I was going to say I have a copy. If you'd go over, please. Along with that, Kendall gave the speech back in February of 2015 when we had the deployment of our local National Guard. And she did an excellent job with that. I got a lot of compliments from the young men that left here that day, and it was really special. So I've asked her to be with us today, and also I want her to read that speech, and we'll be framing this along with the speeches that these young people have written, and hopefully put them in the vestibule out here. Okay, Kendall?
This is my speech for the deployment of the National Guard, February 27, 2015. I haven't changed it at all, so. Good afternoon. My name is Kendall Asbury. I'm in the 5th grade at Miller Intermediate School. I want to take the time to thank you for going overseas to protect our freedom. I'm extremely thankful for the people like you who are willing to serve our country. I believe that sometimes we all take our freedom for granted. Recently, Jacob Atem visited our school and told us about his life in Sudan. He told us when he was a boy his country was at war. Their enemies would take children and force them to fight against their own people. The children who escaped were always on the run in fear of their lives. I did not realize how much I take my freedom for granted until when I heard about a country that had no freedom. He said in 2011 the country of Sudan finally earned their freedom. I'm sure they were thankful for that, just like I am learning to be more and more thankful every day for the freedoms and for all of you for going to a place far from home to protect our freedom. With you, I send love, care, and joy. May God bless you and protect you as you protect us.
I might add that she sure looks like her mother.
I just think that although today is November 1st, which is really hard for all of us to believe, November 11th is coming, Veterans Day, and this begins an effort for us to recognize all of the servicemen and women, veterans and current, who protect us every day and the sacrifices they and their families make. So thank you all for being here today, and it really is a tribute to our students that they are paying attention in class and learning about our country and the freedom that we have and learning to appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Moving on to CDS Family and Behavioral Health Services, Inc. We are going to have a proclamation declaring November National Runaway Prevention Month. If you would please come forward. And I would like to ask people in the audience, please turn off your cell phones.
Good afternoon. My name is Cindy Starling, and I'm the Regional Coordinator for CDS Family and Behavioral Health Services. And this is Leah Emberton, our Community Outreach and Safe Place Specialist. Thank you for allowing us this time today to speak with the board as well as the audience regarding our services and runaway. November is National Runaway Prevention Month. CDS has been working with families in North Central Florida area since 1970, when our first office opened in Gainesville. Prior to 1974, youth who ran away from home were considered status offenders, meaning that the act of running away from home, although a non-criminal act, was viewed as criminal simply because they were minors. Runaway youth were at that time locked up in secure detention facilities, just the same as youth who had broken actual laws such as stealing or perhaps committing battery against another person. But in 1974, Congress passed the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act, which prohibited the placement of status offenders such as runaways in secure confinement facilities. That same year, Congress also passed the Runaway and Homeless Youth Act, which established programs and funding to serve runaways nationwide. These two acts paved the way for programs such as ourselves as CDS. In Gainesville, our shelter in Gainesville was actually one of the first 7 in the state of Florida to be open to serve runaway youth. Since that time, CDS Family and Behavioral Health Services has grown to serve 11 counties in North Central Florida, from our offices in Gainesville, Lake City, and Palatka. Our Palatka office opened in August of 1997. Currently, we provide short-term residential services to youth. We also provide non-residential services to youth and families. We provide community outreach, as well as we are the local provider of National Safe Place services. Our mission statement is strengthening communities by building strong families, and all of our services are free of charge to families who are in need of these particular services. Our residential service, better known as Interface Youth Shelter, works with truant, ungovernable, and runaway youth ages 10 to 17 in this county. We coordinate with the Department of Children and Families, the Department of Juvenile Justice, Putnam County Truancy Courts, and of course the school district to identify youth who could benefit from our temporary shelter program, as well as of course, we accept referrals from parents when their children are having issues related to ungovernable behaviors, runaway, and truancy. While in shelter, the goal is to ensure that youth attend school, follow a structured schedule, and work on life skills, interpersonal skills, and coping skills. We have learned that these are some of the primary skills which youth seem to lack that often lead to disruptive behaviors in school and at home. Counseling is provided for both the youth and their immediate family members, with the goal of working through the concerns that brought the youth into the shelter to begin with. The purpose of the program is to provide a respite from volatile family situations, offer a safe place for children to work with the family for the child's safe return, and to improve family relationships. Our non-residential program, known as Family Action Counseling, works with children ages 6 to 17 who exhibit some of the similar behaviors, ranging from truancy, defiance, and beginning to use substances. Family action counselors can meet with families in our Palatka office or at home and also at school. They also make referrals to our community partners when we feel that specific needs other than what we can address need to be addressed. We ensure that that happens. Leah conducts our community outreach efforts, ensuring that families and agencies in Putnam are aware of our programs and able to access these services when the need arises. She also coordinates the local Safe Place program, which is a part of a national program dedicated to ensuring that youth who have run away from home or are considering running away have places in the community where they can go to seek help and safety. Since November is National Runaway Prevention Month, she would like to take a few minutes to speak with you all about runaway youth and our Safe Place program. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with everybody about our work with the county's youth, especially the runaway population. Every year, about 2 million youth run away from their homes. Last school year, Putnam County had 705 children registered as homeless through the school district's Project Praise program. Of those students, about 134 of them were considered unaccompanied youth, meaning that they were not currently living with a parent or a guardian. In that same time frame, CDS worked with 161 youth in our non-residential program and 119 in our residential program at just our Palatka location. We believe that these numbers could be higher, and that's why we continue to build relationships with our local law enforcement and other youth service organizations in our county to address the issue. According to the National Runaway Safe Line, the main cause for youth running away from home is family dysfunction. Running away from home once decreases a child's chances of graduating from high school by 10%, while running away multiple times decreases their chances by 18%. Over 50% of the youth in shelters and on the streets reported that their parents either told them to leave or knew that they were leaving but did not care. This is according to one study. Our Safe Place program is one of the services that we are able to offer to the runaway youth in our county. Safe Place is a national program that started in 1983 in Kentucky and has since grown to encompass cities throughout the United States. Safe Place provides immediate help and access to supportive services for youth through a network of sites sustained by agencies like ours and community businesses. Putnam currently has 18 Safe Place sites located throughout the county, and those sites range from different businesses to some of our local schools and all of the libraries. So today we're asking that the Putnam County School Board and Ms. Criswell continue to support the work that we do every day, as they have in the past, to build stronger families in our community. As a show of their support for our programs, we're asking for the following proclamation declaring November Runaway Prevention Month throughout Putnam County schools. And the proclamation reads, "The future well-being of our nation is dependent on the value we place on our young people. We must provide opportunities for youth to acquire the knowledge, skills, and abilities necessary to develop into healthy and productive adults. We must also enlist their families and other adults in the community to serve as mentors and role models for young people, guiding them towards wise choices and available resources and supports. The young people with the least access to these essential opportunities and supports are those in runaway and homeless situations. Between 1.6 and 2.8 million youth run away in a one-year period throughout the nation. These young people come from every life circumstance. If all of us work together, we can prevent the situations that compel youth to run away from home. The first step in preventing youth from making the decision to run is gaining an understanding of the facts about runaway youth in order to dispel the myths about them. Then we must empower families and communities to aid our nation's youth in protecting themselves and assuring them the opportunities and supports necessary for their success. Finally, we must challenge adults to act as mentors and role models for youth, guiding them toward available resources and safe, healthy, and productive choices. We're very grateful for the support that the Putnam County School District has shown CDS throughout the years and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you.
I think people would find it staggering to realize how much of this, the time is spent just trying to get the kids in school, and much less teachers trying to teach them. We have a public hearing right now, amendment to policies number 2431 and number 8600.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion to pass amendment to policy 2431.
I second.
I have a motion and a second for policy 2431. Any discussion?
The number may be, the attachment says 2341 and the agenda says 2431. I printed it out. Okay, I amend my motion then. to approve policy, amendment to policy 2341.
I amend my second.
All right, we have amendments to amend the policy from 2431 to 2331.
2341.
2341. Now, well, that was close. I'm just checking to see if you're awake. Okay,
Yeah, we're with you.
you're there. All right, we've got it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Now, number,
Chairman, I will make a motion to amend policy number 8600.
Second.
have a motion from Ms. Jorgensen, a second from Mr. Wright. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That takes us out of the public hearing and brings us to public comment. And I would like to call this fellow from Crescent City, Mr. James Paget, to the podium, if you would. Yeah, there you are.
They let him speak in public?
Well, he's
You let
here.
him speak in public.
He's here to help represent the entire board on an issue. Jane will quit tearing up my candy dish. Go ahead.
Well, being the organized, responsible person that you know I am, I actually read the instructions, on this green sheet. So I will state my name, Jim Paget. It says that's Jim Padgett, 1622 County Road 308, Crescent City, Florida. The instructions, which I read thoroughly, also say, do not indulge in personal attacks while speaking. So that kind of lets you off the hook a bit.
Thank you.
A little more seriously, what I would like to do today is certainly not attack anyone or criticize anyone, but I'd like to take this moment really to compliment you as a group, and particularly those who were just, one, reelected. Is that what you're going to gong me with?
No, we're going to have time in you.
That's what I thought. Those who were recently reelected to your board, which is, of course, Mr. Buckles and Ms. Gaillard, who I know is here, and I want to compliment her again on her election to the board. You've got two fine board members there. But most of my compliments, if you will, I want to address to my colleague and good friend, very good friend, Terry Wright. I had the pleasure and honor of working both with and for Terry during his tenure on the board. And I can say, and most of our conversations are not terribly serious. We agree on most things, but when it comes to certain things like football and politics and other unmentionables, we may not always agree. But one thing we certainly do agree on, and you've set an example in this regard, and that is your mission and desire to improve the quality of education in Putnam County. And I had the opportunity, as I said, the pleasure and honor of watching you as a board member. And although I tried to get him to wear a coat and tie for 4 years, but obviously the Buckles influence overcame any lesson I was trying to share, even though, Mr. Douglas certainly follows.
I like your coat and tie today as
Well, yeah, I know it,
Nice.
but no, I'm not anything. But seriously, you have been a well-informed, articulate,
Absolutely.
compassionate, caring member of this board. You've truly demonstrated your concern and love for the students in Putnam County. And I will say, on more than one occasion, in my opinion, your voice has been the voice that has brought calm and reason at certain times when the board was discussing some pretty contentious issues. So, that being said, I think I speak for everyone that knows and respects and loves you when I say good luck in whatever your future endeavors are. Don't let today as your last meeting be taken, though, as some sort of retirement from education stuff, if you will, because I know you're going to be asked soon to continue help everyone with the mission of delivering quality education here in Putnam County. So I'll just say thanks.
If you could do me a favor, Jim, and bring that clock here. I want all the board members to I'll read it. You know, it was hard. Let me read this, because I know Terry can't read it, and I'll let you know.
No, I don't have my glasses.
I'll let you know what it says, but on behalf of all the board members, it was certainly our desire to have some way to recognize your service, and I know you won't go away. We want you close by, and I want you to drive me crazy every day calling me, okay?
Okay, very good.
Okay, and this says Terry Wright, Putnam County Schools Board Member, District 2, 2008 to 2016. Thank you for your service. And it's a nice clock. And
it works.
Jane Crawford said that she's never seen a clock that worked.
There you go.
But I think, board members, would you like to say anything at all? I mean, on behalf of...
Just to say for the board, when I started, it was District 2. And then halfway through my tenure, it switched to District 3. So that's what this represents. So there you go. It's not wrong. It's this where we started. So,
Please put it in please put it in a prominent place, and if you can't tell
put it in my
Tom,
office.
Madison can come home and show you how.
absolutely.
Okay.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
It should have said 3. I'm 2 for 2.
Well, it did start, yeah, that was the county commission thing. I don't know if y'all remember that a few years ago. They switched districts, just the numbering of districts. So I actually sit in District 3 now. So, but anyway,
Susan McCool made that change to align with the county commission is what they were doing, so.
makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'll hold my comments till the end, so
Thank you, Terry.
thank y'all.
We do love and appreciate you.
thank you so much. Thank you, Jim. Roll Tide.
Oh, here's a surprise. I've got, someone wants to comment on the Campbell building. Vito Russo, would you please come up? Thank you.
Vito, how are you?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for letting me speak before the board.
I can speak.
I hope everyone is well, and I hope your families are well.
Can you say who he is?
Mr. Wright, you've done a very good job with the...
Vito, will you read your name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Vito Russo. I am, I live at 415 Emmett Street, and you spell my name Vitorusso. I'm standing up here representing the South Historic Neighborhood Association on the south side. So before I get into my comments about the Campbell Building, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Wright, and I hope Mrs. Gilliard can do as good a job as you have.
Amen. She will, I promise you.
So I'm going to try to be as tactful as I can in regards to the Campbell Building and the most recent offer that we've had. Anyone who seriously considers the Campbell Building becoming a drug treatment center is in one of two categories. They are either insane or they don't care one whit about this community. The North District, the South District, the Central Business District, they are all designated as blighted areas. Plain and simple. If that building becomes a drug treatment center, we will be entrenching blight in our community. Simple as that. Property values will decrease. There's no debate. Property values will decrease between 7 and 15%, according to the American Real Estate Society Journal. And obviously, crime's going to increase. That's at Johns Hopkins University. There's a bunch of studies on this issue. I'm sure that we can pull up all kinds of studies. I want the community to know that opioid treatment centers are big money. They're big money for big investors and big business. Throughout the country, we're seeing a consolidation of these types of treatment centers. And this industry specifically targets blighted communities. If a drug treatment center is established in our community, in downtown here, in the Campbell Building, we will never be able to remove it. Never. Because alcohol and drug addiction is considered a disability. And the Fair Housing Act, the Federal Fair Housing Act, is going to forbid discrimination based on disabilities. We would never be able to remove it. So that's my comment about selling it to and creating a drug treatment center in the midst of the city. Now, okay, so now what are we going to do with this building? This is obviously an extremely beautiful building with beautiful architecture. The Southside community believes it is imperative to keep the Campbell Building in the public domain, and that's because the first two offers for this building, one was an assisted living facility that got everybody riled up on the south side and maybe the north side. But now, worse than that is the idea of making it a drug treatment center. I mean, this is insane. So if this building ever goes private, who is to say that the second owner or the third owner or the fourth owner doesn't make it one of those first two choices? An assisted living facility or a drug treatment center. I mean, the only way we'd be able to try to control that is through the Planning and Zoning Board. And I wouldn't want to risk that. I mean, not to say that the Planning and Zoning Board wouldn't do a good job, but it would be much more likely to something like that happening if we were simply had a firewall of the Planning and Zoning Board. So I would encourage the school district to, we have to sell a physical asset. I do realize that. But we don't have to sell the Campbell Building. We could sell a different asset. Now, obviously, it's not going to be probably as worth as much as the Campbell Building, but I'm going to try to make an argument to sell the lesser of the two buildings and keep the Campbell Building in the public school district. The Campbell Building is obviously a beautiful building. Now, can you imagine the Campbell Building on how it would revitalize the South Side and how it would revitalize the whole downtown area if that was converted, or if it was made to be the best high school in the whole county? If that was housing the Campbell program. Now, the Campbell program is too large. The Campbell Building is too large to house the Cambridge program. There's too many students in the Cambridge program. So obviously, my recommendation is let the Campbell Building house the Cambridge program for the Palaca students. Now, even if it's too much for the Palaca students, then I would break it down to just the high school students and let the junior high continue to go out to QI Roberts. And I would let the students in the other cities in our county stay local and then have the Cambridge program be remote. Now, I'm sure to hear about the cost of renovating the buildings being too prohibitive. I think that argument is not very convincing. It's not very cogent, in my opinion. I mean, we spent a lot of money on this building right here. And if we can spend the kind of money that we spend on this building, just a fraction of that on the Campbell Building, I think that that is money well spent. So in closing, I know I only got 3 minutes. I'm not sure where I'm at.
I've let it ride.
Oh, okay. I'm going to wrap it up right quick. The Florida statute, from my understanding, requires a school district to consider the well-being of the neighborhood, of the community, when selling an asset, in this particular case, the Campbell Building. So I pray that the school board takes seriously all the stakeholders involved and consults the South Historic Neighborhood Association, as it represents the South Side, on what the fate of that building is going to be. So if anybody thinks, and anybody in this room thinks that I'm maybe being too passionate about this issue, I can show you some people on the South Side that have pitchforks and torches. I mean, this is a hot issue over there. They're extremely sensitive to it. It's right in their midst. and they want to see something, they realize the value of it. I mean, we are working hard. We are working hard to revitalize the whole city, but my organization is doing it, our responsibility is the South Side. And we are working to change the culture. That's how we're going to change the condition of this whole city. You change the culture, and what follows is the condition of the city. And that's what we're working on. And right now, we are organizing a music festival on the South Side on December 10th, Saturday. I hope you're all there.
Mr. Russo. To come back and tell us more about it.
Yes, ma'am. You're going to see posters everywhere.
I have a question. You mentioned Florida statute holding us, saying that we need to consider, do you have a statute number or something, because the book is...
You know, ma'am, I inquired, but they didn't get back with me, so I'm not sure. But I would be happy to investigate that for you and email it to you.
I sure would appreciate it. My phone number's on the internet, on the school website.
Miss Kathy, I will do that for you.
Thank you very much.
I don't know where we are yet, and I was gonna, under old business, was gonna hear from Mr. Douglas if he'd heard anything and any updates, so.
So, the lady who spoke at the last meeting, her name was Miss Lawton. After the meeting, I called Miss Lawton and had a conversation with her. Following that conversation, she and her partner submitted a handwritten offer. And we do not know if they are serious about that or not, but to proceed further in the amount of time that the board would be caused to endure with continuing communication regarding any offer, we have asked for a $50,000 deposit to be held in escrow if they would like to proceed further in negotiations, due diligence, contract formation, a possible acceptance of the board of essential terms to bind ourselves to a contract. We have not signed anything, and we're not accepting anything, of course, without the board's approval, and we have not heard back. So at this point in time, there is a handwritten offer from Ms. Lawton and her partner, but they have not come up with a deposit for us and the board to continue forward with any type of communication or negotiation.
Now, do they have a certain amount of time? I mean, we can't let that go on forever and ever.
The offer does not put a time limit on when it would expire. So therefore, the restatement of contracts would impose a reasonable time for how long the offer would be open for, and that would be a judicial determination if later the board wanted to accept an offer that had been outstanding for a long time, whether that offer would still be a valid offer.
Mr. Chair, just to remind the board, just because someone says they're gonna put an offer down, doesn't take any discussion off the table.
Right.
That's simply somebody saying something to our attorney. There's no binding reality to that at all. So regardless of what I'm sorry, I forgot her name. Lawton has said, means frankly nothing in the real world of business. So everything is still open, nothing is closed.
Kathy had a couple more.
You mentioned also, instead of selling the Campbell Building, we sell something else. What was that?
Well, we have multiple buildings, don't we, that are not being used as,
No, we don't.
we don't.
We aren't allowed to do that. The state tells us how much property we can own, and we don't get to keep property that we're not using. So I really would like to know what Southside thinks we have that we could sell that we're not using.
Well, you just recently took the dollar rental on the building that the Edge is using.
That's part of,
That's part of,
CL Overturf.
that's the sixth grade center. That's part of their,
If they had at home.
they'd be using that for science classes if Edge wasn't in it. No, and that's part of that school. We wouldn't sell off a building that sits on school property. That doesn't even make sense.
So we don't have any,
We don't have
we
surplus
don't have,
property.
we don't have any buildings that we're using as storage facilities?
No, we are
We rent
renting a
ours.
warehouse facility because we currently don't have our own.
I see. Well, do you think that there's any creative solution to this issue?
I would like Southside to find a buyer for us and turn it into whatever it is you want it to be.
Like the ballerina studio downtown, that'd be great.
Well,
That would be wonderful.
You know, it
You
used to
do
be-
realize, Mr. Russo, my mother does live there and
This is a-
has for 40, 50 years, so we would very much like to see it
well, you know what
be
makes
something wonderful, but as a public entity, the board has to listen to anybody that comes before it. It doesn't mean they're gonna accept the offer.
You know, that used to be a bus garage and compound, and kids would go out, it was DCT with, man's name was Mr. Joe years ago when we were in high school. On where the Rotary Park is, I
Oh,
never
yeah.
heard people
Mr.
fuss
Finney was,
then. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's gone from a bus compound to a Little League field, then we upgraded it to
It was
meet
Davis
historical
Tank Factory
standards.
before that.
We had to put money in it to stay there, because I was the superintendent that put all that money into making it look like it's a historic building and match the neighborhood, but really, I've had nothing but positive, supportive comments wanting a treatment center in Putnam County. Now, can they afford to do that? I don't know.
Well, that should go out on Ziegler Road. That's, drug treatment centers should go out on Ziegler Road, not in the heart of the city.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I'd like to see it anywhere. I mean, if you've lost a child to opioid drug addiction.
Yeah, horrible.
You know, it's horrible. So all I've heard is, man, we need that in Putnam County so bad. But maybe that's not where it's needed. I don't know. But at some point, somebody's going to walk in here and they're going to say, we got money. Is there any way to say that somebody that owns a house on Emmett Street gets it all fixed up and then sells it as an apartment complex? I mean, it's going to be apartments. I mean, there's no,
Right.
you know, that, then what do you got? You got a house full of apartments instead of homes, you know, it's, well,
We don't
you're
want
telling
it-
me there's no need in Southside Palatka for a drug center, yeah, right.
Well, we don't. This is America. You know what? This is America. I'm not kidding. This is America.
It is.
And Americans come up with solutions. Americans are can-do attitude. And I'm telling you, we have a can-do attitude here. That Campbell building should stay in the public domain, and that should become the jewel of the Putnam County School District. That's what it should be, because that's what it looks like. That's the way it looks. It is an awesomely beautiful building. The other buildings that are in the state that look like that have been renovated and are jewels of that county.
And Mr. Russo, there is nothing I would like better, but the state has said to Putnam County School District, you will sell that building, so it has to
That
be up for
particular
sale.
building, they said that. That
Yes.
particular building.
Because it's the only surplus building we have,
This
and
is a-
it
but
puts
you-
us over the amount of property that the school district can own. I'm just telling you
I
what the
understand
state
that.
has sent to us.
I understand that. I understand that. But that does not dictate that that particular building gets sold.
Yes,
I mean,
sir, it's the only building we have we're not using, and they did say that particular building, the state
What about
did.
switching? How about that idea?
Vito.
Switch it. Switch from QI Roberts over down to here and sell QI Roberts.
Can't sell QI Roberts, there's a reverter clause. If it were to be sold, it would revert to the family that sold it because of the way it was
Well,
done.
why would we enter in such an agreement?
Yeah.
Why would we enter in such an agreement like that?
Well, why would,
They donated
well,
the
this is a
property.
100-year-old school. I feel your passion. A lot of my friends went there. Mr. John Campbell.
went there.
Mr. John Campbell was a man that I knew, and his grandkids are all my friends. You know, you're talking about something that may or may not happen. We might possibly be able to donate it to the county or the city. If we did, that's money we lose, and they're going to put something in there you're not going to like. You're going to be right down at another commission meeting. We'd love to see
Yeah.
a charter school or somebody come in
Sure.
here and buy it.
Sure.
But you have to understand, not-for-profit organizations or other county agencies, the building is 90 years old. There are a lot of issues with that building. Buildings don't last forever, and buildings built 90 and 100 years ago are very different to buildings that have been built more recently. There's lots of issues. Somebody's got to pay to have that renovated. It became a money pit for us. The mold problems in the building are supposedly within the legal limit, but I had employees continually getting sick, especially Monday mornings after coming in from the weekend. There were constant issues. It was a decision that had to be made. It's capital outlay dollars that renovated this building. They're for construction and renovation and purchase of property. We got approval with the state first, brought it to the board. The board denied it the first time because they wanted $750,000. We offered them $500, tongue-in-cheek, laughing. That was a suggestion that was made by Mr. Wright, and we laughed and said, yeah, it doesn't hurt. Well, they took it. And $500,000 for this building and the 3/4 of the block that we got was a great investment for the future of Putnam County, absolutely. This building will last us 50, 75 years. That building was about to fall down around us. Ask some of the electricians and the plumbers that climbed under that building, and they'll tell you the real story about that building. Mr. Gatchell, Scott Gatchell, I guess, is not here this afternoon. He could give you some definite information about that building.
I tell you what, I can say-
It's a historic building. I love the building.
That's right.
I'm sorry? What was that?
Every time we sit here and talk about how this building is, it gets worse and worse, and nobody's gonna wanna buy it. Now, that would probably make you happy.
No, it's not gonna make me happy.
You don't want it sold, unless it's something you want it sold.
Sell it to us
too.
for $1, we'll take it.
You couldn't handle the upkeep. Who's
I
going to
mean-
keep it up?
You'd turn
Who's
it
going to
into a
pay the
apartment
electric
complex.
bill and the water bill? You can't even imagine
Well,
what that is, even with nobody in it.
I assure you, I have an extremely can-do attitude. I do.
Well, then find a buyer who will do with it what you want. That would be can-do. I
Okay.
would appreciate that.
So we'll come up with some solutions and we'll.
Well,
You are just the community to do it. You are just the community to do it.
Well, this is, we're a stakeholder, and this
If you
is,
want to speak, you need to come up here and give your name and.
okay, so I mean, we're stakeholders, and we want to be consulted. We want to be in the loop, because it affects
put
us.
you out of the loop.
You're not out of it. We hadn't done anything. Haven't done anything.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Patty Vogt. I live at 220 South 4th Street. It is the 7th historic home that my husband and I have renovated in the 20 years I've lived here in Palaca. And most of the people that live here in Palaca, usually the people that have been here all their lives, have no use and no value of these historic homes. It's the outsiders like myself and Mr. Russo and other people that come in and renovate your historic homes and make your historic neighborhoods good and safe again. The home I own now was built in 1850. There are hand-hewed beams underneath it. It was empty for 30 years and it was gutted. And now it's going to be on the porch tour, and it is beautiful, and you need to see it. And I have spent the last 2.5 years, every day of my life, renovating that house. And 7 other ones that were getting $73 a month or a year in property taxes. And now we're on the tax rolls every year, making more and more and more. One of the houses I did made $7,000 a year in taxes off of 73 when it sold to somebody with not a homestead exemption, sold for $299,000. And I paid $25,000 for it. So there's a lot to say for the Campbell Building and the historic homes and the historic neighborhood. Excuse me, I'm very passionate about this because I have spent my last 20 years in this town doing it. And if I did it in St. Augustine or Savannah, I'd be rich.
We're gonna have to wind this up. It's just going nowhere. I don't.
Nowhere. I've spent my life getting nowhere.
Well, you have. You've restored some homes. Wonderful.
Yes, I did, but you're going to undo my life's work of 20 years if you put a drug facility and you don't take responsibility. I didn't say you pursue, you yourself were going to do it, but you are our elected officials. You are the people that we gave our city to, our safety, our children, my life, my market value. Yes, but you take everything very lighthearted. You're up there eating like you're watching a movie. You're going to make my property values go down the tubes. You're going to make my neighborhood not safe.
Okay.
You must take responsibility for your public office.
Okay. And, I wish I could pick up something for $25,000 instead of for $300. That'd be nice too. All right, Mr. Paget, did you want to say something?
Mr. President, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would just remind the board, and I hope you don't take offense, this is the public comment section of the meeting. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes.
3 minutes, I know.
I
gave
tried
them
to keep
latitude.
mine within 3 minutes.
But I was
this
stuffing my
has
face
this
with
has
junk.
deteriorated into a screaming match between members of the public who are obviously very passionate about this subject and you as responsible members of the board, I will make a humble suggestion that perhaps you put this on the agenda for a public discussion rather than letting this
Probably
thing
need a
deteriorate
workshop or
into the,
Because
into the matter that it has.
You're right, because this will come up again. If somebody walks in here and says they'd like to put in a bid, whether they can make it or not, it's gonna be the same way all over again. And we're gonna be the bad guys because it's not a,
Because we're listening.
we're listening.
Well,
And I'm sorry that I did extend the
Yes.
time that you could speak.
Well, I appreciate
And I
that.
let a speaker speak that wasn't on the public card. I know, I shouldn't have done it, I'm wrong. But
Well, I appreciate your, consideration of letting us speak and Ms. Vogt speak.
It's like-
So
it's like we
I'll
weren't.
just wrap it up, and I mean, you've got a little taste of the sensitivity of the community on that particular building, so.
Pitchforks and torches.
Pitchforks and torches, yes, sir.
That was-
Okay, so, thank you, I appreciate it, and,
I will tell you this, we will try to schedule a workshop at some point, maybe not a workshop, but a
Invite all of y'all.
discussion.
Oh, wait a minute, Chairman.
Well,
Wait a
listen,
minute.
hold on a minute.
No, the board needs to agree on that, and I'm not so sure that that's gonna happen
well,
at
here's-
this time, so let's
There's
just not.
nothing to.
you don't have
There
to,
is-
Exactly,
Well,
that's what I'm
here's-
saying,
here's-
there's nothing to
Here's
talk
the
about. A
only
workshop
problem that I
is
see.
pitchforks
If
and
we're gonna,
torches.
somebody's gonna walk in here and make another offer, and you're gonna have people up here acting like we're,
don't care.
eating a bunch of candy while we're listening, like we're at a movie show, and we're gonna have to hear the same thing again, and you're gonna have pitchforks and torches. I mean, surely, you can't be serious about it.
No, I'm being
Okay,
facetious.
so he made a joke, that was lighthearted.
That
so,
was last
okay.
night at Halloween,
I
right?
got you.
Yes, I got the idea last night, yes.
Okay, I got you. That was lighthearted. That's okay. I'll go with that. But anyway, it does. When you're from Palatka and grew up here in Putnam County and you lived up and down those streets, who's to judge and say you don't care about it?
No, I can't do that.
Man, I'm just listening to something that just,
They're emotional. I mean, we're very sensitive to it, and we're very upset by the idea of a drug treatment center coming in the community.
And I-
Because it'll have nothing but a negative effect.
I completely understand that.
I mean, it'll have a negative effect. So, thank you so much for
board.
letting me speak and giving me as much time as you have. I apologize for.
Fortunately, I won't be the chairman much longer. And hopefully, you'll
Oh, God.
get to handle all this and be the lighthearted one that gets to talk.
That's right.
I try to keep things going, but that's the way it goes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to
Nice to meet you.
public comment guide. We're through with public comments. Consent agenda. We have the consent agenda. Does any board member want to pull any items?
No, Mr. Chair, not me.
No, mine's under emergency. Nope, we're good.
Okay,
I do not.
okay, I
I
do.
have one, of course.
Kathy,
I can't believe
in a lighthearted way, I'll say, what is it?
It's a lighthearted one, E2.
E2.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move we accept the consent agenda
We already
minus
fixed it.
E2.
Oh, you already
Second.
fixed it?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, there was a typographical concern of mine.
We already,
You're out.
we already fixed it.
But it
Are
was
you talking
already
about the
fixed.
name?
Yes, the
Yes.
name. The-
It's now
right.
John Chastain.
Okay, that's fine. I will make a motion that we approve item E2.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, that moves us into
Emergency session.
emergency session. I declare us an emergency session. We have, first item on emergency session is Mellon Elementary School request to hire
Wait.
3.
Wait.
I know, just because the discussion is gonna be about both, but please double check. They're the same positions, but one's getting paid $25 an hour and one's getting paid $15 an hour for the same remedy. So that concerns me.
And what is the CAL 100E?
One's non-instructional.
Okay,
That's why it's 15 per hour.
just so I,
Yes, see.
And what is the CAL 100E? I know 100 is the general fund.
their expense account.
And
You see that strip and it has an E and some people put that in.
Well, it's general fund money or no?
Yes, general fund money.
So we're approving this out of our general fund?
I don't think that's a general fund.
I think it's the
No.
school's general
Laura,
fund
it
money.
says- the
Helen,
school's
isn't
general
that
fund.
the
Mellon
school's money that's designated for them, and they've chosen to spend it this way, correct? We at the district
We
level
have
are
to
not giving
prove
it.
It's each
Because
school's general fund.
it's expenditure of funds that has to be approved by you guys.
Every time the school spends their own money? I don't think so.
discretionary funds,
This is for personnel, though. They're hiring personnel to do a particular job.
Okay, so is it like, we're not doing, it's not an allocation though?
No,
And what again is remedy?
Stand.
that's the temporary help.
Temporary hiring aid.
Oh, is that what Kelly Girl people?
It's
that-
similar,
Okay.
but it's local.
Local.
Okay.
So we're not hiring
There's
them,
an
we're just
herbicide called
approving.
Remedy that you can spray pretty fast.
We'll spray it on you in a minute.
I need your thing.
Sorry.
All right, so do we have a motion?
no, we haven't given you a motion yet.
We haven't given me a motion
We
yet.
just had to, so
I
the,
was trying to like.
So an
lightheartedly move
interventionist is a
along.
teacher?
It's a tutor. They are teachers.
They're tutoring.
That would be tutoring students.
Right, but they're being paid $10 more an hour because they're certified teachers, or?
The ones at Mellon are certified teachers. They'll be paying $25 an hour, yes.
Okay, and the ones at Miller Middle,
There, yeah.
are they going to be doing the same thing?
yes, they're coming in and
Thank you, Tanya.
They are going to be coming in during the day and helping in the intensive reading and the intensive math classes as an extra person in there to do some small group tutoring during the day.
And you all have approved this kind of thing before. Last year, at the beginning of the school year, we approved two separate, actually, former teachers, retired teachers, to come in and do tutoring at Jenkins Middle School. So
I can't remember
this is
what
not
happened
unusual.
yesterday,
This
so
is not
much less last
unusual,
year.
but we do have to bring it to
yeah, I
you.
was just, I didn't, the non-instructional and instructional. So I make a motion to approve, Mellon Elementary request to hire through Remedy.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next, Miller Intermediate School request to hire 4 interventionists through Remedy. Justification, explanation, time sensitive.
So moved.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Chair votes aye.
This is all part of school-based management, well,
That
where...
takes us out of emergency session. Sorry, Madam Superintendent. but,
Just so that you understand, we have school-based management. Our principals and teachers work together to determine what is the best thing they can do for their students as they're trying to improve student achievement. And this is often a decision that principals and teachers together feel will help because it's extra time on task for the students, extra attention for those who need it, just so you know.
All right, when it moves us to old business, seeing none, we'll go to new business.
well, I just, point of order, is that where we would bring up the follow-up from the offer or no?
He just gave it a while ago.
Yeah, but if you have additional questions. we
Well,
can
I mean,
send-
there's still, we have a piece of paper and we do have to formally agree on,
Well, they haven't
Contract.
given the $50,000 binder.
oh, we did tell them that then?
Yes.
Okay, that's all, I just was
Well,
curious.
and while you're on that topic, did you keep on let me just pass this along and discuss this at this time. Sandy Scranton, who was our Director of Purchasing, sent an email today that said that the real estate broker that you requested an RFP for, she still has received no responses.
Right.
And deadline is tomorrow at 10 a.m., and she just wanted you to know.
That
Well-
no real estate company has come
No
forward.
one.
Well,
No
did you
one.
read the RFP? Several of my friends that are real estate agents said there's no way that they're gonna
We need to
take,
shorten that
take
or
the time
redo
to
it.
do all that that's requiring,
Right.
that
Me
just
too.
not.
I heard from 2 that
Yeah.
said the same thing.
I believe Ms. Scranton modeled the RFP from a couple of other
Right.
districts, and if, you know, it's the board's pleasure, you can extend the deadline, you can refashion the RFP, you can.
Streamline it?
A lot of, you streamline it, do a lot of, well, whatever you would feel necessary, and Ms. Scranton and I can work to accomplish your objectives
And in no way I want to publicly say Miss Scranton did an amazing job, and she did
Oh, it was
reach out
incredible,
to
yeah.
a big district or other districts, which was very appropriate. Although to have nobody respond at this point doesn't mean, I feel like we either need to extend it or suspend
Well,
it.
I don't think you all gave her any specific directions except to get with the attorney.
Yeah,
So if you
right.
want it written in a certain way, you all need to get together and decide what that is so she can write it the way you want it. She did it the way it
I don't
legally
know
is
enough about
done.
real estate to know how.
Well, that's why we have an attorney
I
and
know.
we'll say, hey, we just want you to apply to sell our building and make it one sentence. If
And
that's
we-
legal, then do that.
We can certainly simplify the RFP. There's a balance. You don't want to obviously too complicated where no one applies, which I think is what we've seen
Apparent.
so far,
Yeah.
according to Ms. Scranton's email. And on the other hand, you don't want it too simplistic because that would create a risk to the district to have someone who maybe is not as qualified as you would want them to be in applying for that position. So having seen that no one has applied, I think now is a good time for us to take a look again at the RFP and see if we can simplify it, streamline it, and come back with another version for you to look at.
Well, one quick question: the $50,000 deposit we asked for, when was that deadline?
I already asked that question.
There was not a deadline. That's a separate issue from the RFP because we don't yet have a broker. Had we had a broker in place, then they would have.
Well, and my
arranged that.
point is, I just feel like if you're not gonna need the broker and they did bring it, then we wouldn't use the broker.
Right.
So why would we go through all the trouble of modifying the RFP if, in fact, they were serious about their offer and bring the money?
But they haven't yet.
But why don't we give them, maybe you could contact them and give them a date
I
certain,
feel,
and then we could
I
rework
feel
the
a date certain
RFP.
would be very
Appropriate.
appropriate.
I do too.
Because I know that this contract is gonna be contingent upon zoning and changes, and they're gonna have to go through the city, and all these wonderful people that are here, they're speaking to the wrong officials.
exactly.
They need to be at the city when they do have an offer at the zoning, and unfortunately, we are just responsible the best we can fiscally for our students.
I'll try to make this the last time I say it in a public meeting. But every time we discuss this and we talk about mold in the building or crawling under the building, how bad it looks, it goes
Nobody
on public
believes us.
record and makes everybody say, I wouldn't buy the daggum thing for $10. And it just, there's nothing that is it's just counterproductive to business. I did let these people speak today, longer, because they're not gonna go away.
And they've got pitchforks and
And
torches.
yes, and it would be worth a lot more money to us if they did burn the building. But I can't
David.
encourage that. But that's
So
the way
can
it
the
is.
board agree on asking for a
Asians
$50,000
don't burn it.
contract by some point,
Asian,
December
don't do
1st?
that.
Or, what would you need as direction? I just want to see something in writing, and then if it doesn't come through, then we would do the RFP.
What Jim Paget always told me anyway.
Yeah, I think 30 days is a reasonable time frame.
Okay.
And that
30
will,
days from when you talk to her, from now?
from now. And then that would give us an indication of their level of seriousness.
Okay.
And if we are going to proceed forward with the
I mean, if they want to sign a contract, then we would need to see it and approve it.
Exactly.
So that would be the first step. And then we would go follow through with the RFP. So I feel like if we let this RFP as far as tomorrow and nobody applied, then at our next meeting, December.
I think they need
First
to go ahead
December
and start
meeting.
streamlining.
Then we would be able to do the RFP, modify it to maybe attract more realtors.
If we don't have the $50,000.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
gotta wait a month?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I would mention just two things.
Yes, sir.
If this indeed has to go back to the RFP and we have to get a broker, or the board has to get a broker, I would ask you to consider two criteria.
Okay.
One is the length of time which the board feels is appropriate to sell the building. If there isn't a length of time defined, then your choice of broker is going to be far broader. And that leads to the second point that I would ask you to consider is scope of influence. Your broker, whoever you hire, will have an influence circle. They will have people that they know, that they're in connection with, that might want to buy commercial properties, that might see a vision for this, and that too may lead and guide you to a particular broker. So If you will answer those two things, if you have to go there, it will help make this RFP process a little bit easier. If there is no time limit and the board doesn't really care how long it sits on the market, then it doesn't really matter.
I don't think we're gonna have a lot of choice right now. It gets less marketable every time we meet.
But if you do want to define that by time, then, and you want to define that by influence, by a broker, then it begins to lead you where you look for particular brokers and how broadly this RFP might need to be disseminated. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, Mr. Douglas, if you would handle the RFP information, I would appreciate it, because I don't want to get involved in it.
What?
And there, it doesn't
We're
matter,
talking
whatever.
about the $50,000.
Well,
Giving them the
yeah.
debt 30 days.
We're asking the,
And then we're gonna, I don't.
And then we'll worry about the
Then we'll-
RFP.
yeah,
and you
that'll
won't
be in
this
December.
chair anymore. So
Thank goodness that, I just,
it's a lot harder than
I
people.
found buy some historic properties and fix them up.
I know, renovating.
like I know. All right, let's see where we're going. I know you're gonna start a mall and a bit, okay, I got you. Putnam's gonna change, it is. All right, we are on
It's okay,
Discussion new business.
discussion, new business.
It's consensus to advertise. I say advertise.
All right, number one, consensus to advertise new policies, number 5136.01, number 7530.02, number 7540.06, number 8300, and number 8305 as presented in Neola Update 17-1.
Advertise.
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 Advertise?
Advertise.
Okay. Consensus to advertise updates to bylaw number 0100 and policies number 5136, number 7530, number 7530.01, number 7540, number 7540.01, number 7540.02, number 7540.03, number 7540.04, number 7540.05, number 7542, and number 7543 as presented in the Neola Update 17-1.
Advertise.
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 Okay, that brings us to board member reports, and we'll end up with Terry Wright, and we'll start with Ms. Jorgensen.
Okay, just for my information, these policy updates and new policies, are they on board docs now? And if not, when will they be? So, because we're gonna be considering them now that we're advertising. They're on the agenda now, great, they're on board docs, thank you. I'd also like to mention that we voted on the consent agenda to, auction off old vehicles. The newest of the old vehicles that we're auctioning off is 15 years old, and the oldest one is 1989. We're still using a 19, so, I mean, I was happy to see,
Way to
you
go,
know, they're
maintenance
dead, we're
department.
just gonna get rid of them now.
Going.
And I'd also just like to go on record, please, the first offer that we had for the Campbell Building was from Putnam Academy of Arts and Sciences for $300,000. I don't remember the details, but we didn't accept it or whatever. But here we are now with the South.
Pitchforks and
Pitchforks and
torches.
torches.
It's so sad.
It really is, but.
Well, I know they're passionate about it, and I can understand that. I can,
I've
but
had just as many people
they're
passionate
yelling at
about
the
a
wrong people.
I have
drug
more.
treatment. I've
I
had
have
more people
Yes.
call me saying, thank God it's time that we have something in Putnam County to help our people who are dying from this poison. But, you know, they don't have it the south side. No.
Well, it's like prisons, everybody wants them, but not.
But not in their
my back-
neighborhood.
Not, and it's the
I
same
get
with the
it.
drug, and I get that. However, right now, we've got them walking the streets, seriously, and, I don't know, I'm done.
Okay, Ms. Crawford.
Well, first, I would like to say, did everybody read in the paper today this wonderful article about Lift Putnam? They received a $25,000 matching grant to provide more funding for pre-K scholarship program. And this beautiful picture of Mr. Paget is.
What, did you get a different paper than me? Because
you
I did
draw
not
a
see
beard
a
and a
beautiful
mustache?
picture. I did not see a beautiful picture.
Well, you probably drew a beard and a mustache.
The beholder. That was a very lighthearted.
I didn't have my
picture.
glasses
It
on.
looked like
See,
you
there
were
you go.
eating the whole time. So I'll just-
Stop. But anyway, thank you so much, Mr. Paget, for the work you and your foundation are doing to help our pre-K kids in Putnam County. I told him earlier, I said, now, you know, some of that needs to kind of start sliding from the south side to the central to the west side, but I know our need is great there, and I think everything that's being done there is just
Well, let me tell you one.
awesome.
Let me tell you one thing that happened, and I was quoted in an article that Asia did recently with Mayor Hill, where I just had
honing in on my
a bad day. Well, I was going to chime in because when you cast dispersion on a foundation, if you have people in a certain geographic region that says if they don't want my money in Palatka, then I'll put it to good use in another
Somewhere else.
geographic area. So that does impact things like that. Little nuances may impact where people that donate money request where those dollars are spent. And, you know, case in point is we do now serve a very nice group of children in South Putnam. So anyway, those are little things that people have to be aware of, and it's just not, things are not always as they seem. So I got that answer.
That's for sure. May I continue?
You may, because you're wonderful.
It came to my attention last week. I was talking to a good friend of mine who's a school counselor, and she was just very concerned, very downhearted about the numbers of referrals that she's having to make to outside agencies to help our students in Putnam County, because our guidance counselors just aren't equipped to help them to deal with all the non-academic issues that face many of our students and that are actually barriers to them being successful in the classroom. And we all know the statistics. 1 in 4 children live in poverty. They're exposed to substance abuse, neglect, medical and dental issues, and mental health issues. And they cannot deal with all of those and still try to keep them on academic track. It's just not humanly possible. And these barriers get in the way of them being successful in the classroom, because when kids have those kinds of issues, they could care less if they do their homework. They could care less if they pass a test or if they do well on the FSA. They're just worried if they're going to have something to eat or a place to live or a place to rest their heads. And those issues oftentimes cause discipline issues within the classrooms. They're distrustful. They can't concentrate. We've got to figure out a way to meet these types of needs of our students. And Phyllis, you might want to chime in what you told me about is it a mental health counselor at Mellon? How many kids?
20.
She's working with 20 kids in one small elementary school.
That's just the one she has time for right now.
Right. And so you look at every school in our county has these kinds of needs. We've got to figure out a way to address these problems, or those kids are never going to be successful in the classroom. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that because we've got some real hurdles that we are facing.
Through?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Cummings?
I just want to continue to echo our appreciation to Mr. Wright in his last meeting. And
Absolutely.
It's been so wonderful sitting beside him and getting help in all this decision making and listening to wisdom, and I appreciate that over the years. So I'm going to really miss that.
I'm gonna miss you, Nikki.
I'm going to miss it a lot, but I want to say thank you and all you've done. As far as the Campbell building, I do just want to say it is our fiscally responsibility as the school board. We're not city zoning, we are the school board, and we make decisions based upon the best interests of our students. And I want to remember we have had a building that we are not using. It is unneeded and it is unused for almost, 2 years.
And it's costing us money.
And it's costing us money, taking money out of the students' curriculum out. I mean, if we had $450,000 added to the general fund, holy cow, what could we do with that money? So we're gonna sell it, and we're gonna sell it to the person who has the most money. There's community, there's city, and there's school board. School board is in the best interest of the students, and that's why I was elected. I didn't get elected to make the historic district what they are. I got elected because I have a passion for our students, and I understand that there's definitely different opportunities, but please, this is something the city, the codes enforcement will take care of. If they don't want a drug remedy or any type of mental health facility, that's something the city will decide, not the school board. We sell a building that the state says we have to sell. It's common sense. We have to sell it. It's unused, unneeded. For 2 years, it's sitting there. So I don't know. I didn't run for city council. I'm not on the city council, and I'm not the mayor. I'm in charge of the school board and the students of our district. Unfortunately, it's not a school anymore, and we have something the state says we have to get rid of. So every time we have to tell Ms. Odom says, we don't have money to buy these things. All I think about is, wow, what could we do with that money from the Campbell Building to provide more opportunities for our classrooms? So again, that's very difficult, but that's reality. So hopefully we can get our building sold for a high price for somebody that will offer money that will give great opportunities for the historic district and also provide extra money for our students. Anyways.
Let me say one thing for Mr. Wright before you, are you through,
I'm
Mayor
done.
Cummings?
Yes.
Okay. I had to say that was a joke. Anyway, Terry, I'm gonna miss you very, very much, but I know you're a phone call away.
Amen.
I appreciate all the prayers and all the good things that you've helped me with over the years, and I know that you're might be closing one door, but another one's opening, so I don't think you'll be very far. So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things. Being my last meeting, I promised my wife I wouldn't preach. Now, in our church, we would say amen.
Amen.
There you go. That's right, because you certainly don't want that, because then we have to pass the plate afterwards. So,
I gave it all at once.
a couple of things. I do pray that my time, almost a decade, 8 years. Wow, when you think about that, that's a pretty good length of time. A lot of kids have come and gone over a decade, almost a decade of time. I pray that I've been a blessing to teachers, to administrators, and to our students. When I've walked into schools, seen them on the streets, been to ball games, I pray they've left encouraged, not discouraged, whenever we've met. And I pray that that's been true across the board. I've learned more than I can say. This experience is a phenomenal learning experience. Sandra, you're in for an education. You've got a lot of years under your belt, and you've done a phenomenal job at what you've done, but this is a different side. And I promise you, at the end of your time, you'll sit here and say the same thing. You'll say, I've learned a lot, because it is a wonderful learning experience. The community, it's funny, the community feels like oftentimes that they can weigh in on everything, and they have that right because they're voters. But I would encourage the community to educate themselves on the issues concerning the district, and what the district can and cannot do. We live in a day of political collectivism, where the power from local entities is being collected at the state and at the national level, and that neuters local boards like ourselves. So because of collectivism and expansionistic governmental control, we have less and less authority to dictate and to direct our district. And that is tragic, because the people I've served with in my 8 years here are very smart and very capable people, and if released, can make some very great decisions. I've made friends that will last a lifetime, and that's the greatest thing, because at the end of the day, when the sun's setting on our lives, no one's going to say, oh, that's Terry Wright, the board member. They're going to say, hey, did he impact my life? And so I pray that that's been true. I would be remiss not to name the people that have made me a better person. When you sit on a board, you, if you listen and if you care, you become better. And the people that have made me better are these people: Tom Townsend, Phyllis Criswell, John Milton, Joanne Barber, Jim Paget, though in many ways I've had to overcome that relationship. Charlie Douglas, Kathy Jorgensen, David Buckles, Jane Crawford, my friend Nikki Cummings, and two people that I could not find the bathroom without, Pam and Sharon. And I am honored to have served with each and every one of these people. They have made me better. They have helped me overcome some weaknesses, and they've helped me appreciate my strengths. And so, after 8 years, I bid you a very blessed goodbye, and God bless you.
Thank you, Brother Wright.
You're very welcome.
All right, that takes us to our esteemed attorney.
Nothing new to report in the legal department. Everything is going well.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
My report was already.
Oh,
so,
okay.
With him.
And I wanted to say again to Mark Model and Ms. Decabellis for coming to agreement on the Hurricane Day. Thank you
Yes,
so much. That was wonderful. I feel like it was productive. And so January 9th will be the last day of the first semester. So it won't impact any type of changes to vacation. So thank you for doing that.
Yes, thank you very much.
Makes our life
The
easier.
teachers, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Madam Superintendent, do you have a list of things you would like to go over?
You know, you need to make me first instead of last.
Well, if you do, I'm going to sneak out for just a minute.
You know, or not.
Take over for me.
You don't have to be here for any of my comments. That's fine. I think I have 10 minutes. If I get you out of here by 5 o'clock, it's good.
There you go.
I have just a few things real quickly. First of all, yes, any money that we get back from the building would be awesome, because actually the state says it goes back in our capital outlay, which means we have it to use to continue to fix things at schools. And you know, if you have a house and children in that house, there's always something that need to be fixed. So you can imagine, with the hundreds of children we have in our schools, there's always something that John Chastain has to repair. And again, to John, who is our director of maintenance, and our entire maintenance department, they work themselves silly and they do a good job, and we're very fortunate to have them. But they do have to pay for the materials they use to do the repairs. So anything we get back would be excellent. And I do want you to know, I just got a nice little text message from Miss Scranton, our director of purchasing, that says that she did at 4:30 today receive one, and they're from out of town. So I guess, you know, at some point y'all will look at that tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I think. Anyway, just so you know. Also, Ms. Crawford, I'm so glad that you brought up the fact that you've talked with a guidance counselor who is very concerned about what she's seeing. She actually saw you and was able to say that to you. If you were able to see a guidance counselor meeting and hear what they have to say and see the crying, you've been there, you know, and many of our teachers would probably tell you the same. However, at that same logic meeting that Mr. Buckles discussed, when I talked about the research on poverty and what it does to children, and you're the one that just said 1 in 4 students are living in poverty in Putnam County. So of course that does affect their focus and everything about their life, and anything but academics is important to them. That's also why you see our graduation rate the way it is, and it's also the reason that you see student achievement in the school grades that we have. And trying to overcome those issues and get children to focus on learning is a struggle that our counselors and our teachers have every single day. Our mayor the mayor was, I guess, the way he put it is he was tired of hearing it. He cringes every time he hears us give those statistics. But in my estimation, the best way to fix a problem is to admit you have it and to say out loud what the problem is, and then you can move forward to fix it. So those are issues that I don't know how to fix because it's not a school issue per se. It's a community issue, and we're going to all have to learn to work together on that and openly admit that we have those issues and how do we solve them. All you have to do is talk to a counselor or a teacher or a principal, for that matter, about what they deal with on a daily basis. And truly, they could write books on the things that they deal with. And it is just a fact of life that they see on a daily basis because they deal with it. The average person working in any business in Putnam County or any other governmental agency doesn't see what we see every day. So they aren't as aware of it as we are. So anyway, on a lighter note, our school director of Business and Finance, who is Rhonda Odom, has an article in Florida School Business. Just wanted you to know she is published. Wow. And I have the article. I think this was the only one we've received. I'll leave it with Pam in case you want to read it. School District Finance on the road to recovery or still in financial bind. So it was well written, and she talks about the issues, and they requested that she write this, and I was very pleased that she was able to do that. So if you're interested, that's available. The last thing I wanted to do is give you a brief update on our health insurance and where we are with that. Certainly, unless you're working for a for-profit business that pays your health insurance as a benefit, doesn't matter where you work or where you live, you're probably going to have an increase. We'll probably have an increase. What they are looking at, the last time Blue Cross gave us their increase was in October of the year last year they worked with us. The loss ratio through June of that year was 71.85%, and Blue Cross was asking for a 22% increase initially that year. That was what sent our employees over the edge. They adjusted it somewhat, but the adjustment did not come down enough that made the employees happy. The insurance committee really demanded that we do something different, and that's what got us where we are today. And they had 20 years of working with us to look at our claims history to determine what they needed to do with us. United Healthcare has only had us for 10 months now, and the claims come in slowly and get paid when they come in, but the doctors and the hospitals bill when they bill. So they've actually looked at through July and what's been paid through August. I requested that they take a really good look at this because it's in our employees' advantage to get the lowest possible increase. What they said to us initially when they first looked through June was 14%. I asked them to look at July and August. They've done that. Now they're saying 9.9%. I do know that Danny Page is saying that they realize that they've only had us for 10 months now, but we don't have September and October. And I said, can you do better than 9.9? So that's where they are, and that's what they're working on right now. We can count on 9.9, but I'm hoping they're going to get it a little lower than that. So that all of that will be coming out in the next week or so. United Healthcare feels they've been more than fair based on our loss ratio, which is currently 79.6%, much more than what Blue Cross was facing, and yet they are looking at 9.9. So they're being very fair to us and working with us. We hope to know something a little more firm within the next week. So hopefully it'll be even better than that. We'll keep our fingers crossed. For Mark and for Debbie, I just got that information just before we walked into the meeting, so that's why I hadn't had an opportunity to share it with you all. But 9.9 isn't bad considering what we've had in the past, and if they can get that a little bit lower, before the middle of November, then that's just for the benefit of the employees. I also know that they worked very hard with our retirees, and in doing that, they were able to do a consortium, for lack of a better word, with our retirees, where the retirees have more choices than they've ever had, and they're saving much more significant money than they ever have in the past. Not to mention that those retirees will be coming off of our group policy, which is also going to help us. So lots of improvements and things happening, and it just happens slowly. That's what happens in the insurance world. The last thing I have to say is to Terry Wright, who I have truly enjoyed working with these past 4 years. He has certainly been the voice of reason. I have never seen anyone who can take a situation and mellow it out and say, whoa, 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 let's focus here and get us all back on track. And you've done that amazingly. And what I know about you is that people don't remember what we say or what we do, but they certainly remember how we treated them and how we made them feel. And so certainly you will be well remembered by all of us here and many people in the community for that. And I don't expect you to be going away. There's many ways you can help us, so I look forward to that in the future. And thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Simperton.
And that's all I have today.
Ms. Crawford has one more.
Real short. We all got a folder or one of these with 2 letters of recommendation in it for 2 women, and I have no idea what it's for. Or does anybody here know? It doesn't say. They're from Joe Theobald.
They would.
Oh, those were, that was kudos that he gave to a couple of his staff members,
well,
and he
I thought they
wanted
were
you all to
applying for a
see.
job.
No, he wanted you to
I couldn't
see.
figure out why I was getting it.
No.
Okay, thank you. See, short.
Wow. All right, well,
I know, it's good, doesn't it?
I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting and hope you have a safe week.